I have a horse that I have had for 29 plus years. So since 1996 is when I got my horse, and it is 2025. And so we have been together for a very long time. And he taught me something he's taught me tons of incredibly important things. But there is one particular thing that I'm trying to share. And that is that when horses misbehave, it's not personal. And we need to look to their bodies. And we also need to change how we look at misbehavior, because the reality is that it's not about us. It's about the horse and their needs. And misbehavior is communication, and it's not actually misbehavior. It's literally just communication, and you should listen. So what happened is that Houdini, my 30-year-old's personality, completely changed, and he has been doing showmanship since I was a 4-H kid, and he is really, really, really well trained on the ground. And we are really in tune with each other. And he was super airheaded and acting like the stereotype of the like crazy Arab. And he was kind of in my space and on me, and he wasn't starting and stopping with me. And he was just like not himself. And he has an incredible work ethic. And he was just like not present. And it was like trying to communicate with him through a fog. And it was very early in my bodywork journey, and I had a body worker out, and it turns out that his skull or something, his TMJ or something, was like tilted and locked in place. And the body worker at the time said that he essentially had a permanent migraine, and his personality came back immediately. One session and my horse was back, right? And that started me on this journey to beginning to see that what we call training issues are actually biomechanical and body issues, and that we punish horses for things that we could release in their body. And if you have a horse with a good work ethic like Houdini, they want to do what you want to do, and the only reason they say no or misbehave is because of pain or a functional inability to do it, or they're having an off day and they don't feel like it, which aren't we all entitled to those? So he started me on that journey, and then I had another horse that was kind of just all in my space and stuff like that. And when horses kind of are heavy and they kind of like peter, like when you're leading and you stop and they kind of like continue to go and kind of like die out and halt, but they don't really like stop with you. That's a body mechanics issue. That's not a bad behavior. And we so often use force or punishment for things that have nothing to do with bad behavior. They are entirely fixable through body work. And so we are punishing our horses because of something that we have the power to fix. And they aren't actually doing anything deliberately wrong. Their body isn't working the way it should. And then they get punished for that. And so that is what this video is about. And I'm going to try and make videos about how people can look at their relationships with their horses and be very deliberate in deciding what they do and do not want as a part of those relationships. Because I'm not here to tell somebody what to do. I want to share what my horses taught me and ask questions, or help people ask questions of themselves and their horses, so that they can find their own unique way in relationship. It's not about teaching people what I do. It's about helping empower people to learn and grow on a daily basis and have their horses be their mentors. So it's really interesting because I am the leader in the relationship with Houdini, right? Like I say what we're going to do and when we're going to do it and how we're going to do it. But he's my mentor, and he determines what I need to learn in those sessions. And if I'm listening, he will grow me. And if I'm not listening, our relationship degrades. So that's the gift that Houdini has given me that I want to share with other people. And I mean, the big thing is that horses don't really misbehave, right? That's not what they're doing. They're beings with their own thoughts, emotions, bodies, and behaviors. And they're doing what they do. And we need to, if we want good relationships with them, we need to be not looking at something like a buck or a spook or pawing. We need to not look at those as bad behaviors. We need to look at them as communication about an unmet need, right? If a horse is doing something, it's because that we don't like. It's generally because of an unmet need. It's not a lack of training, right? So that, and how to have a safe communicative relationship with your horse. So I have boundaries with my horses, right? And they are flexible based on the situation and safety and what is going on. And there are times when it's very inflexible. If my horse has a wound and it needs to be treated, his opinion doesn't really matter in that time. I say this because he had a huge abscess thing going on, and it was a fight, and he hates having his foot soaked and didn't like having it wrapped and stuff like that. But the reality is that it was care that he needed, and it needed to happen to hopefully have him get better. And so he can convey to me that he hates it all he wants, but it's still going to happen, right? And I am going to create a system to where I am facilitated in doing what I need to do to care for him. But I'm still acknowledging that he doesn't like it and he's not happy. And if I can, I'm going to set it up so that he can be successful and it can be less frustrating and stressful for both of us. Meaning maybe giving him something to snack on, making sure that he's tied and in a place where he's comfortable. And if something is something wound-wise, he really doesn't want it. Now, my horse doesn't pull back or anything across ties. So for some horses, this would be a safety thing. But for him, when I need to soak his foot, cross ties is the way to go, because anything else, and he's just everywhere because he didn't like it. He's telling me he doesn't like it, but we're going to do it anyway. And so I have flexible boundaries, and my horse knows that. There are times when he is somewhat allowed to rub on me. It's never my favorite, and he knows that I'm going to tell him no. But we were doing selfies the other day, and he was rubbing on me and really pushing the line of what is allowable behavior. But it was selfie time, so I wasn't going to get after him for it. It wasn't a functional difference. But at any point in time, I could have turned to him and been like, no. And I could have created a larger bubble for myself and held it to him to that without being overly aggressive. So with horses, think of aggressive as going into their space. But boundaries are holding your space, right? So I have this internal compass or internal guidance system where if my horse is being really rude and dangerous, where he wants to come over the top of me, I become a wall and my hands go up as a wall. And that wall is between us, and it's at the edge of my bubble of where he should not cross, right? And I get big, right? Breathe in, get big, get tall. And if he runs into my hand, that's on him, because he came into the wall, right? He ran into a wall. However, I am not going into his space. It is not an attack. It is not an aggressive move. It is me getting big and being like, you better not, dude, because I'm right here. And if I do want him to move away from me, that's going to be an actual cue that is different than creating a wall. A wall is literally setting a boundary, whereas me asking my horse to do something differently would involve me identifying and addressing the areas where I need to change something. So for instance, if he's kind of flinging his head around and being a brat, and he is a brat, let me be clear, he loves to test boundaries, right? And he likes to be corrected. This sounds weird, but he tests because he wants to know where the boundaries are. And honestly, I think he might be more comfortable if I was firmer with boundaries and wasn't quite so adjustable. My younger horse, he is so sensitive that he feels like he's in trouble if like anything happens. Houdini is not that way. Houdini is like, get after me, so that I know where the boundary is. Like, Houdini likes a little more of an antagonistic relationship. Now, I say he likes it. It could be that this is literally just like the dynamic we developed because we grew up together, and, you know, I raised him at a time before I knew what I know now. And so, like, that's just how we are. But, if I am wanting him to move in a certain way or change his naughty behavior, then I am going to set him up biomechanically to do that. So if he's slinging his head around, I'm going to make sure that he has a halter on. So I work with my horses loose a lot, but I'm going to make sure he has a halter on because I want to be able to use the levers within his body to direct his movement in a way that keeps me safe and keeps him out of my bubble. And so what I might do is turn his nose toward me, because if his nose is toward me, he can't come over the top of me, right? So what I might do is turn his nose toward me and then pick up the fascia gently on his shoulder or his chest or the base of his neck and ask him to step over by lifting. And so I'm creating a biomechanical situation that keeps both of us safe and also establishes a very clear boundary and sets an expectation of behavior. And I'm going to stop right there and I'll watch this video later because I have recorded 5 of these and I got to the barn an hour ago and haven't left the car.